Make the most of your Walt Disney World vacation.
The top 6 developments that give us a renewed hope for the future of Walt Disney World. Hi, I'm Herb Leibacher, and welcome to episode number 103 of the World of Walt podcast. Make the most of your Walt Disney World vacation for the week of January 8th, 2017. This is the podcast for Walt Disney World fans, whether you're planning your next trip or just enjoy reliving a little bit of Disney magic. Today, the podcast is sponsored by Ear to Their Travel. If you're planning a trip to any Disney destination, give Phil at Ear to Their Travel a call. Phil is a former Disney cast member, so he really knows how Disney works. He can help you plan all the details of your next vacation at no extra cost to you, while making sure you get the best deal on your trip. You can reach Phil at eartotheirtravel.com. Welcome to 2017. With a new year, we often have new hopes for change and improvement, especially after we look back and evaluate the past. This is true for us Disney fans too. We already have a lot to enjoy and be thankful for, but there are some hints of the future that can give us a special hope for things to come. Let's look at some of these Disney indicators of what to expect with today's topic, the top 6 developments that give us renewed hope for the future of Walt Disney World. To help me explore this topic, I'd like to welcome a guy who is always looking ahead to a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, Johnny Shortsleeve. Johnny, welcome back.
Oh, thanks, Herb. Happy New Year to you, my man. I can't believe 2016 is already in the can. Looking ahead, man. This is going to be a great year. Well, I don't know about you, but I've got high hopes for 2017.
2017, it's always a good time at the beginning of the year to look ahead and be hopeful for things to come.
Absolutely, man. Right on.
So, Johnny, before we get into the topic for today, our beloved warm-up question is, favorite extinct graphical element?
Good question, Herb. Well, you know what? Here's one. I hope this one kind of falls into what you're thinking of. The thing I'm thinking of is, you know how when you drive up now to Disney's Polynesian Village Resort and villas and bungalows and Captain Cook's and Trader Sam's and whatever the full official name is, they have this beautiful waterfall sign there now to greet guests as they arrive. For some reason, even though it's beautiful, it's a wonderful sign with a water feature and it's neat at night. I really miss the old sign, the Polynesian Village sign. They're just kind of very simple. It was actually it was like a sign on a pole, so it was really high up in the air, so you could see it from as you're kind of driving down. Is that Seven Seas Way or Seven? Oh, you think I'd do some advanced prep, wouldn't you, for this show?
Down the road.
Whatever that road is in front of it. It'd be kind of a neat thing. And for me, whenever we'd go there on vacation, that was like, to me, the signal of vacation had began, is when I saw that sign. And it was simple, just like a little wooden sign, very well themed to the resort and the other signage around the resort. And I kind of miss not having that anymore. Even though I like the new one, I miss the old one.
That's a great choice. So whenever I see the new sign that's sort of built into the waterfall, it reminds me of Atari. I mean, those letters look like they were created by the people who made the Atari video games.
That's just funny.
It's like 1971 just came back and reclaimed its letters or something like that. So
that's so funny. Because now, wait, isn't the theming is supposed to be even more retro than that? At least that's what I heard. It's supposed to be, the Polynesia of like the 30s and 40s, or I know one of your listeners could probably correct me and say, gosh, this ding dong, you keep bringing him on, doesn't know his facts. But I know what you mean, though. I never thought of it that way, but I can immediately see it in my head. And that's a really good connection you just made there.
Yeah, I do like the sign. I miss the old one too. I like the fact that they sort of looked back to what the Polynesian used to be, even though it now has a really, really, really long official name. But that was a neat sign. And that.
So what's yours then? I'm curious about what your favorite extinct sign is, or graphical element.
Graphical element. So this is one that's mostly extinct, but kind of like some of those species that sort of, it didn't really go extinct at all. It's the Walt Disney World D with a globe in it logo. So you can still see it on the monorail, I believe, but way back in the 70s, it used to say Walt Disney World, and the D was big, and there was a globe in the middle of it with Mickey ears on it. And that D, to me, when I was a kid, always just symbolized all the great things that what Walt Disney World was. And I think that logo disappeared for quite a long time. It's still not a primary graphical element for the property, but sometimes you can see it on retro hats. I think you still see it on the monorail and maybe in a place or two around. So that big D with the globe in it, that's the one that I think is pretty cool.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it like only on monorail blue that it has the carpet in there that with the D logo?
I have seen that carpet.
Is it in other ones too?
I don't know. I haven't actually pegged it to a particular color of monorail or not, but I know what you're talking about. I've seen it in there, and that's the logo. That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah,
because I think it's the blue one. Like there's two blues. There's like a tealish blue, and then there's like a more medium blue. Yeah. And the medium blue monorail has got like this other weird design on the outside. It's different than the other monorail colors. Like it's almost like it's a design or an addition that's unique than the other colors. And for some reason, again, this is going to be a great example or opportunity for a listener to write in and say, hey, Herb, this Yahoo doesn't know what he's talking about. It's also in monorail beige or whatever. But I, for some reason, only think it's in the medium blue one. That you see that the D insignia in the carpeting.
Could be. But I remember seeing it, but I'm not sure which monorail it was in. But you're right.
We
it
need
is
to take
in some
a
of the
field
carpet.
trip.
Yep. Yeah, we got to do a monorail study now.
Yeah, just clear our calendars.
What are you doing on Saturday? I'm riding all the monorails.
Exactly. It's a good time.
It is a good time. All right. Top 6 developments that give us renewed hope for the future of Disney World. Johnny, we're over to you. Number 1.
All right. So as you know, Herb, I tend to go out in left field with my list when you invite me, and you're so gracious to keep inviting me after me going so many times out in left field. This is one that I think is probably going to be controversial. Some people would 100% disagree with me on this, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway, and I'm going to give you an explanation. So the first thing that makes me hopeful for the years ahead is the fact that we're seeing more of these a la carte pricing models and experiences in the parks and in the resorts. So, for example, like we're hearing about the Magic Kingdom cabanas that are around $700 a pop to hang out and relax and kick your feet up and take a nap and not do it out in the middle of the parks where everyone else is, or the Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam holiday party that just recently kind of came into swing around Thanksgiving 2016. The premium parking, I think that was like mid 2016 that kind of came out. I like that because, some people say, oh, it's a cash grab. You know what? I don't agree with it necessarily. This is a business, and it costs a lot of money to run Walt Disney World. And if they want to do things like expand Disney's Hollywood Studios and put Star Wars Land and Toy Story Land in there, that costs a lot of money. And they're not taking donations, and it's just not going to build itself. They have to raise the capital to do that stuff. And if they want to be creative in how they're doing it, by all means do that. Because I'd rather than be creative and create these kind of different experiences for the guests to enjoy, and they want to spend a few extra bucks on, to do that, as opposed to just saying across the board, let's raise ticket prices, or across the board, let's raise food prices. So, to do a better job of trying to find ways to enhance the guest experience, but also raise the capital they need in order to do these amazing things that are on the to-do list. So I'm cool with it. And I hope I explained it well enough to make people also realize, hey, you know what? Don't be upset when you see these $700 cabanas come online. Know that there are going to be people who are going to enjoy them, and they'll have a great time with them. But also means that that's going to be a way that you don't have to keep footing the bill for all these new expansions and things that are to come.
Wow, I really like the angle that you took on this. And I like the angle you take on a lot of the items that you bring to the podcast, and I appreciate that. I think a lot of us, it's easy to drive into the Magic Kingdom and see the parking sign for $20 and then see another sign that says premium parking is available for $35 and think, oh my goodness, they're just trying to empty my wallets in every possible way they can. But you're absolutely right. The things that Disney does don't come off the shelf from the local Walmart. Everything is designed and built in custom ways, and it costs a huge amount of money. And like you say, instead of just saying, okay, well, sorry, everybody, you're going to have to pay an extra $7 per day by providing these premium experiences, it's a way for them to earn more. And they are earning it. They're providing a different sort of experience. And there are folks out there who will have the funds and will pay for them and will appreciate them. And actually, it's going to go back to allow us all to enjoy the many different things that Disney is investing billions of dollars in doing. So I think this is a great one to put on the list.
Yeah, and I remember when, like, for example, the premium parking thing came out, that you mentioned. I'm one of those people too. When I see that sign, I think, who's going to spend the extra $15 for that? But people do. Yep. People are willing to say, you know what, $15, I'm willing to do it because I want to go back to my car, and I want it to be easy to go back to my car, not have to schlep all the way through the transportation ticket center or all the way through the back corner of the Epcot parking lot, wherever. People do it, and they're cool with it. And you know what? I say, great. That's great. Crack your wallet open. If you feel as if that would enhance your experience for the day a little bit more, I'm all for it. So good on you.
Excellent item for number one on the list, more hard ticket experiences. I really like the angle that you took for that one.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Sure. All right. Number two, the thing that gives me renewed hope are the new paper drinking cups, which I know sounds a little weird, but let me explain. Way back in 2005, Disney launched an internal program called One Disney. And the idea was to reduce costs by standardizing things. And I think as a business, it's important to take a step back sometimes and make sure that you're using your money wisely. And Disney did take a step back and made some changes. So here's an example. The costuming department at Walt Disney World cost the company $55 million a year. And they did a study and they realized they had 20 different varieties of black pants. And they figured, we don't really need 20 varieties of black pants. They were able to whittle it down to just 4 different kinds of black pants. So now, instead of spending anywhere between $13 and $20 for a pair of black pants, they spend about $10. And they did similar sorts of analysis and changes in all the different areas of the company. So they used to have 500 different kinds of aprons. Now they have 250. The Jungle Cruise skippers at Disney World and Disneyland and Walt Disney World used to have different uniforms. Now they have the same uniforms. And the accountants loved this. It was a way for them to squeeze money out of the costs. And it's always good to be careful with how you spend your funds. However, I once had a boss who said, you can't cut your way out of business problems. And I think that some fans believed that this One Disney idea went a little bit too far, that all of a sudden things became too standardized and too bland. So folks go to Walt Disney World because they love staying at the Polynesian or they love staying at the Coronado, not because they love staying at a Disney resort. If you have the same Mickey Mouse t-shirt at every single store, you're only going to buy it once, and you're not going to buy it when you visit the other stores. So I think that the paper cups that I've seen recently are a good example of how Disney is dialing back a little bit on this One Disney cost-cutting effort. It used to be that the paper cups said Disney Parks, and I'm sure they did that because they could buy larger quantities, use them at Walt Disney World and at Disneyland. Now, the paper cups say Walt Disney World. They're specific to the resort. And it's a tiny thing, but I think it's representative of going back to some of the details that people appreciate. So you can go to the shops in the resorts and you can find merchandise that's specific to that resort. So you can go and find a t-shirt that says Disney's Coronado Springs or Disney's Wilderness Lodge, where a few years ago it was pretty hard to find anything that was specific. And I think the concept here is that Disney did some cost cutting. It was appropriate for them to do it. But then they figured out maybe they took it a little bit too far, and they've decided to add some of the details back. And all of those little details can add up and make for a better experience. And I'm glad to see this trend happening.
That's a really interesting idea, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think it really kind of dovetails nicely from my first topic that I brought up. And I think people really don't think about how much goes on behind the scenes with Walt Disney World in terms of it being a business, and there's certain things that they have to do in terms of running the business by the numbers, so to speak, and trying to realize we need to make a profit. We do have shareholders to answer to. And, it costs a lot to run Walt Disney World. There's almost 70,000 employees and contractors and, its own little municipality with water and waste and all that kind of stuff, doing it themselves. So, yeah, I understand the idea, why a bean counter would say, I definitely don't say that to be derogatory to anybody who's in the accounting profession, to say, yeah, there's ways to cut costs, but then it's really, I think you said it so beautifully to say, while there is that effort that is essential, there has to be a line in the sand where we say, we still need to keep our sights set on the fact that the reason why guests love coming here so much is because of the details and little tiny things that we may not pay attention to or really go crazy over, like paper cups. But it does show that they do really care about the experience and what you're getting there. So that was really well done. I was wondering where you're going with that. I like that, Herb.
Yeah, thank you. And like you say, I don't think any one detail is really going to push anybody over the edge and say, nope, I'm not going back to take my vacation in Walt Disney World. But it's adding up all of these little details that make the experience special. And you can cut to a certain point where it's not as special as it used to be. And I'm glad to see that trend is being reversed.
Yeah, good one. I think we're off to a good start here. I think
this. So too. Let's keep it going. Number 3 is back to you.
All right. So go with me on this one here, Herb. So again, coming from left field, the second thing that I want to throw on my list is the failures that we're seeing in the parks. I think gives me a lot of hope. So, for example, there's failures in terms of meeting deadlines. Like, for example, Frozen Ever After missed its deadline for opening. The biggest one that people have been talking about has been the Rivers of Light nighttime show at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Definitely missed its deadline. But what's also happening is that we're hearing kind of details coming here and there about why, and it's some major challenges with respect to the technology working correctly. Even there's rumors that one of the barges sunk in one of the test shows. Here's why I like that, and here's why I think it gives me a lot of hope for what's to come. Is it shows that they're really pushing themselves and they're trying to do things that they're not taking the safe road, or they're not phoning it in. They're trying to do things for the guests that are going to far exceed expectations and really give you that wow factor that I think has got to be just amazingly more difficult to do than ever before, because you look at our pleasure centers are getting blown out by all the things that technology allows us to have access to now. And I think we kind of expect that same type of experience in real life in terms of what you're seeing and experiencing in a theme park. So, you look at some of the things that are added to design elements and overall guest experience elements in some of these attractions and shows. Now, when you start to see that what they're trying to do here with, like, for example, Rivers of Light, it really demonstrates that they got the best and the brightest on these jobs, but whatever their ambitions are, they have really stretched them so far, and they're not giving up. And to me, that just says, no matter what, we're going to really do something for the guests that's going to make this experience just absolutely amazing and memorable and make them want to come back and enjoy it again. And so when I hear that they're failing and they're having trouble meeting deadlines, or there's these technological issues and things like that excites me. I mean, something big's coming. So I like that. That to me is a huge thing to be hopeful for.
This is another great item for our list. The same boss that I had who said you can't cut your way out of a business problem also said, every year, I want every employee to tell me at least one way that they failed, because if you haven't failed in the past year, you haven't pushed. And I think these failures are showing that Disney is pushing the envelope, because if everything worked perfectly all the time, You're just kind of phoning it in, like you said. You're not really trying to come up with something brand new, something never before done. And that's what Disney is all about. It's about these new experiences, about things that never have been done before, not the things that you can go down to Walmart and pick up. And so when we see these failures or delays, I agree with you. I think it's easy to look at it and say, oh my goodness, well, this organization known for all its great planning and flawless execution, they must be falling apart. No, I think they're pushing themselves so that we can get even better things than we've seen in the past.
Right on, man. This should be fun. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff that we're hearing rumors about, especially like with Star Wars, and that's that I think that'll really be a test to see how far they're pushing themselves. But from what we see from the concept art, yeah, that's going to be pretty amazing.
I think you're right. Okay, that was a great one. Number 3, The Failure of Rivers of Light. And actually mine builds on this and maybe takes it in a little bit of a different angle. So number 4 for me is going to be the Starbright Holidays drone show. So I was thinking back, and I believe in my adult life there have been 3 visual special effects at Walt Disney World that have completely blown me away. So the first one was the Tower of Terror. The Tower of Terror opened in 94, and I can still remember the time that I went on it, way back before the days of the internet and YouTube. And the elevator went up and the doors opened and the elevator moved forward. And I was just amazed by this. And then the elevator gets to a point where stars are all around you and they coagulate into this line and you go through the line. And oh my goodness, my eyes could not believe what I was seeing. So that was probably mid-90s. The next time I can remember sort of an amazing visual effect was when Enchanted Tales with Belle opened in late 2012. And the magic mirror turns into a door in a way that your eyes just can't believe unless you see it. And this happened again for me, a new visual effect that really just blew me away with the Starbright Holidays drone show at Disney Springs. So the show went from November 20th to January 8th. And Disney has 300 drones, and it takes place a couple times in the evening. If you are a Disney fan, you've probably seen this on YouTube, but the drones make Christmas trees in the air and doves and other things. It's a 5-minute show. It's pretty quick, but it is one of those experiences where I thought my eyes are seeing something that they have never seen before. The sky is being animated with these points of light. I think Disney has come up with an amazing visual effect that people just haven't seen before. I know they bought the technology from Intel, but I think they're using it in a way to tell stories that only Disney can do by adding in music and the other sort of effects that they do. So the Starbright Holidays drone show, while visual effects are not the end-all and be-all, really give me hope that Disney is putting new technologies into the parks. Like you say, they're pushing the envelope on what they're doing, and they're doing some amazing things.
So do you remember back in, I think it was like 2012? Yeah, so I think New Fantasyland and the Magic Kingdom opened, if I recall, like December-ish 2012.
Yeah.
And for the media preview that they did, they had a dragon fly overhead.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh wow, this is the greatest thing ever!" And you know, it was like a little drone that was outfitted to look like a dragon. I can't remember if it breathed fire or what it did, but there's probably videos of it on YouTube. And I remember talking to somebody who knew a lot about what was going on with that, and I said, "That was so cool. When are we going to see that again?" He said, "Never." And I said, "Are you serious? Like you guys went through all the trouble of creating this thing with this technology. We're never going to see, this kind of like drone thing happen again?" And he said, "I didn't say that." And so I was like, "Ooh, what do we got going here?" So then fast forward a few years, I remember seeing somebody put something on Facebook that was, they, I guess, found a patent or a trademark that was applied for by Disney to use multiple drones at once. Everyone started speculating what was it going to be. And then fast forward to the show that they have now. And I started to think, even though it is truly amazing to see this show, you have to kind of step back for a second and go, wait a second. Now that they got this thing dialed in, can you imagine what it's going to be like in a year or in 5 years, what they can do with this technology? That's really kind of mind blowing. And now, unless if somebody's listening to this in the year 2022, and you're like, oh yeah, yeah, you thought that was cool. Wait till they do now. Wait till what they're doing now. That to me is exciting. Like, just to think, like, you're seeing like the Atari version of the technology. Going back to what your reference to the side, the Polynesian. Can you imagine, comparing Atari to Xbox or whatever the new game console is now, the difference in technology of the games, that's what I think what we're going to see with the drones.
I think you're right. And to anybody who's listening in 2022, they know what a smart guy Johnny Shortsleeve is because of all his predictions that have come true. So let's just get that out of the way first. But I was thinking the same thing. So if 300 drones for 5 minutes can make it an impression, what happens when they can do 3,000 drones and the entire sky over the Magic Kingdom can be animated? I think they're onto some amazing things here, and I just can't wait to see what it comes to pass.
Or they get bigger, like beefier drones, and they have the claw on them. So like the game, like in like Toy Story, they pluck you out of the airport and just fly you to your hotel. Forget the Magic Express. I mean, there's like a big carbon footprint problem with that bus. The drone, so electric, solar powered probably. Drone flight.
Ooh,
2022. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right? 2022. Am I right?
Let us know.
Yeah, let me know. Send me a message.
I'll just be happy when it can deliver a pizza. That would be cool enough. I'll take it.
Yeah, deliver a pizza. I just got to worry though. You're gonna have some knucklehead who's gonna be sitting on his porch with a slingshot, trying to launch at the poor drone with the Papa John's pizza, just trying to drop it off to a hungry family.
Now, I don't want the Terminator to come to pass too quickly, but maybe the drones need to have some sort of way to fight back a little bit.
One of those 300 drones goes rogue.
The thing is, they have friends. So, if you're trying to take down the Papa John drone, he's got 500 other friends right behind him. So I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's like a little mafia.
All right, number 4, the Star Bright Holidays Drone Show. Number 5, Johnny, back to you.
All right. Being a portly fella, I like to talk about food and wine if I could.
Muscular. Muscular is the word we use.
Rotund. So Food and Wine Festival, I don't know. You think I'd do homework before we hop on one of these discussions here, wouldn't you? But it seems like every year it just keeps getting stretched a little bit further and a little bit further, kind of like my waistline. And I'm hearing that the 2017 installment of Epcot's International Food and Wine Festival is going to be 75 record-setting days. So actually starting in August, which as it normally started in September. And I got to say, I'm applauding and I'm excited. And I think that's a really interesting thing, a development, because obviously this is a huge fan favorite. And it shows to me, and the reason why I'm hopeful about it is it shows that Disney's listening and they're paying attention to what the guests like. And, especially, if you look at, like you and I, Herb, locals, we like to hang out there and go check out what's going on and all these special events that are around it. So I think it does a great job of getting folks to come out and enjoy Epcot and all the things that go along with the Food and Wine Festival, more than just the booths and all the things that you can enjoy. So I wonder if I've joked before that, hey, why are you limiting this to, a couple of months? Why don't you just make it all year round? Because we all love it. And then, but that's kind of what's happening. Food and Flower and Garden morphed into like a mini Food and Wine Festival, just a lot prettier and more colorful. And, the Festival of Arts or whatever, yet again, I've failed you, Herb, in not doing my homework beforehand. Like what the new festival they're testing right now coming up here in January with the weekend arts festivals, and there's a food component there. So I am really excited about what they're doing there with Epcot and realizing that, hey, we got a lot of real estate that's not being used when we're not doing these festivals. Why don't we set up a kiosk? Or we have all these facilities here that aren't being used all the time. Why aren't we doing seminars or special events in these facilities? And especially like the America Gardens Theater. I definitely enjoy some of the things that they do with those festivals and with the musical acts that come into town. So to see more of that happening, that's fantastic. I like that a lot.
I think you're right. So find what works and do more of it. And I think Disney realizes that people enjoy these special food offerings. So they added some for Christmas last year. And I think we're coming to a time where we're going to see Epcot having all these different special events, maybe where it gets sort of back to back. It's either going to be food and wine season, or it's going to be flower and garden season, or it's going to be the art season, or it's going to be the Christmas food season. And you're right. People love it. People really enjoy it. It just draws folks out to that section of the park. I remember in the olden days, before there was a food and wine festival, folks talking about the fact that you could walk around World Showcase at Epcot in February and be alone pretty much because people just didn't come out. But now with all the different special events that they've got, they keep the parks crowded, which again is a good thing because it makes sure that that money is coming in to be able to do new things in the future.
Now, if we can only see if we can get fashion to follow suit, because, slim fit jeans and skinny jeans are still kind of the thing. If we can get like Zubaz pants back, like comfy pants, nice free flowing pants with an elastic waist, we're set.
Yeah, well, I've never been a slave to fashion personally, so I think we're okay. Hawaiian shirts are good. I hear Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah,
they cover up all kinds of things.
Yeah, makes you be a little more relaxed as you're traveling around all the food exhibitions.
Exactly. All right, that was good. Number 5, Food and Wine expands with our waistlines. Okay, number 6, last one. So we've talked about a lot of things that are changing. But for the last one, I'd like to talk about something that is staying the same, and that is the cast members. I think the cast members are the secret sauce that make that experience at Walt Disney World extra special. They smile, they take time to speak with you, they ask if you need help, and there are, sad to say, few places in this world where you can go to get that. And it seems like it must be something really hard to duplicate. Otherwise, we'd get excellent customer service in lots of different places, and we just don't. I think Disney World is one of the few places where you can go, and for the most part, you will have very positive experiences with the cast members that you bump into, no matter what their role is. If they're working in food service or retail or your resort or custodial or whatever, you will find that they will go the extra mile to help you out. And that is something that I think Disney wants to continue, and I think they are continuing it. I still see it every time I visit. And I'm thankful that I see it. And I think it's one of the things that gives me hope that the Walt Disney Company and Walt Disney World will continue to do great things because they have great people who are making it happen.
Let me tell you a quick story. My neighbor, I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast. He decided to trust me and my family to watch over their family fish while they were on a 2-week vacation. So he brings the fish over in a little tank and he says, hey, it's a fish we got for free at a festival. If it doesn't make it, don't worry. I said, it's going to make it. Go have your nice vacation, relax. Well, guess what happened?
Uh-oh.
A couple days in, Flipper is belly up.
Oh, no.
In the thing. So I try to be slick. And I go down to the local big box pet store down the street here. And I'm beating on the door 8 a.m. and that thing opens up. And I took a picture of it, which is terrible. Have the picture of a dead fish on your phone. And I took a picture of it, took it to the store. And I walk over to the fish area. And I show the picture and say, hey, can you help me find a replacement here and explain what happened? And he goes, oh, yeah, that happens all the time. That's why I hate fish. I said, wait a second, you hate fish, but you're working in the fish department at the pet store? He said, yeah. And he just kind of begrudgingly moaned and groaned and got me the replacement fish, and I went back home. And I thought for a second, you know what? I'm so desensitized to the idea of having this amazing work ethic and being passionate about what you do. Because like you, I've been fortunate to make a number of friends who are cast members, and I've talked to them, and it really is that way. They love doing what they do. I had a friend of mine over at the house last night. Actually, he's a cast member. guy's really sick right now. He's got some problems with his vocal cords, and it's very hard for him to talk, but he wants to keep working because he loves doing what he's doing, even though he's supposed to not talk very much to kind of let himself heal. But he can't get away. He just loves being there in the parks and enjoying time with the guests. I got to imagine that the guy working the fish counter, if he had a bum wing or something, and he decided he wasn't feeling it, he'd call in a heartbeat. I don't know how you do that. And there's a million books that other people have written as far as how they do it or why they think it works. I don't know if there's just like a formula, but I think it's just an amazing thing that the cast members are doing in terms of creating that amazing experience, by having this amazingly positive attitude and loving what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we continue to see it now, just the way we saw it 10 years ago and the way they had it in 1971. Even though the rest of the world, for the most part, you won't get that experience. And so the fact that we still get it at Walt Disney World, even though the rest of our planet has gone downhill, gives me renewed hope that we're going to continue to see great things. Yeah,
absolutely. That was a good pick.
Thanks. All right, top 6 developments that give us renewed hope for the future of Disney World. Number 1, more hard ticket experiences. Number 2, paper drinking cups. Number 3, the failure of Rivers of Light. Number 4, the Starbright Holidays drone show. Number 5, Food and Wine expands. And number 6, cast members that still make the magic. Johnny, fun list. I appreciate your joining me to go through it. So if people are interested in what you're up to, what's the best way for them to find out?
Let me do this. I'm going to throw you another curveball. I like throwing you curveballs, Herb. So you've been gracious enough to let me pitch my own stuff for a while now. Let me pitch something else that I don't think a lot of people know about, and I want to take my quick 30-second spotlight to see if we can do that. How about we throw out a shout out to Give Kids the World Village? That's something that is an amazing facility that does some great things for families with special needs children. I know of a family who has had the opportunity to stay there, and they just got the royal treatment. It's an amazing charity. I just, the numbers nerd. I mean, I talked about it on one of our last podcasts about that crazy job I had with, spying on the nonprofit. I just spied on these guys a little bit. For every dollar you donate to Give Kids the World Village, 93 cents goes to actually providing the services to the families. I don't know if that means a lot to people, but let me just put that into perspective for a second. In the recent election year that we had, there's a couple of foundations that came into question. And for every dollar you donated to those foundations, about 6 cents went to actually doing work for the causes. That's okay. Like 6-7 cents. That's kind of acceptable. Not this place. 93 cents of every dollar that's donated goes to helping these families. And there's amazing volunteer opportunities. So maybe if you put a link in the show notes somewhere to givekidstheworld.org, I think that might be a cool way to kind of help out a little bit, and might give some people some ideas for fundraisers, or if they're Orlando locals, might inspire them to come check out the website and see how they can volunteer and help out if they haven't done it already. So let's do it that way this time.
Wow, Johnny, that's a great idea. So it's GKTW, givekidstheworld.org, and they really do amazing things at that village to make special a time for people who are having a rough time with some very serious health issues. So Give Kids the World tied into a lot of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So if you know anybody who's ever had a wish child, and their wish was to go to Walt Disney World, chances are the Make-A-Wish Foundation hooked them up with the Give Kids the World Village. So a great place to volunteer if you are a local in Orlando, or even if you're coming for a vacation, you can arrange to volunteer there as well. So Johnny, thanks for mentioning Give Kids the World. I think it's a great thing for people to consider.
Right on, man. Hopefully people check it out and see what they have to offer. So that's definitely a cool place.
And thank you for joining me on today's show. As always, you bring a great angle, and I did not think you were ill-prepared. You always have lots of great things to say, and thanks for doing it.
Yeah, if I can start doing some fact checking now, really bring the heat then. But I appreciate you letting me do this because I love your podcast, Herbie. You're a lot of fun to talk to, and I think you do some great stuff here. So keep up the good work, my man.
Thanks, Johnny. Today we head out to the music loop of Disney's Hollywood Studios, and yes, we have made it through the list of the top 6 developments that give us renewed hope for the future of Walt Disney World. However, our conversation isn't over. I'd like to hear what you think. You can add to the list by visiting the show notes page at worldofwalt.com/103, a page that works nicely on desktops, tablets, and smartphones. I'd like to invite you to follow me on social media, facebook.com/worldofwalt and pinterest.com/worldofwalt. If you like today's podcast, I would appreciate it if you would spread the word. Tell your family and your friends about it. To wrap up for today, I would like to give you a heartfelt thank you for spending some of your time with me. I'd also like to thank everyone who visits the worldofwalt.com site, where you can read interesting Disney articles and chat with other folks who like Disney in the forums and the comments sections. By listening here and by visiting the site, you allow me to share the fun of Disney with you, and that is extremely cool. Thank you for being a part of it. So until next time, my friend, may God bless you.
So there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream